Alright guys, I've been promising to do a walkthrough of the Predator kayak as well as showing you how I rig it up. I'm also going to show you today how I like to load it on the back of my truck. Now I have an 8-foot bed, so it's a little different than what most people might have, but if you happen to be somebody with an 8-foot pickup bed, this is the best way that I've found to transport it. Now I have an older model Predator. The newer model has a couple things that have changed on it. The basic hull shape is the same, but they made a couple different changes, as well as the newest models are now called Old Town Sportsman Bigwater PDL instead of Predator. They actually dropped the Predator name and rebadged it as the Sportsman Bigwater. But I'll go over some of the other small minor changes that they've made over the years as well. So starting up front, so mine, since it's an older model, has the original click seal hatch. You simply put it in the lock position and it won't open. Move it over to unlock and it pops right open. It's a nice big oversized hatch. You could easily fit tents and things like that in here if you're going camping. It comes with this battery bag that suspends so it won't get wet. I like to keep a spare propeller attached to that battery bag, and normally you would have the battery to your fish finder in here, but you could put whatever you want in there. So the newer one has the same exact hatch, but instead of having this click seal system, it just has a bungee that stretches across it that holds it down. Some people prefer this old original hatch, unfortunately, and I can see why. It's really nice. But these do not get water, either the newer one or this original one. They do not get water in them because, as you can see, this ledge all the way around it, it's like 1.5 inches tall. So any water that splashes on this, it would take a lot of water pressure for it to actually force around this little rubber gasket here that's built right into the hatch. So it's a very watertight hatch. I really like it. All right, moving down, you have a couple rigging plates here where you can mount fish finder, your electronics, and the wire would just go through this little channel and then down through there to where you mount your actual transducer. So right here are the lock mechanisms for the drive, which I'll show you the drive in a minute. But continuing on down, this is the rest for the drive. This is the drive well. You've got pockets on either side with these rigging plates on top. So the nice thing about their rigging plate system is if you drill holes in it and then decide you want something else later, you can just get a new rigging plate. And so you don't have to worry about putting holes in the actual hull of your kayak. You can just replace the rigging plate. This is actually a rigging plate that I made on my own out of a cutting board. I just cut it to the same size, routed the edges, and used that to mount this Yak Attack. This does not come with the kayak. This is an aftermarket Yak Attack track. So this is actually the lock mechanism, the rear lock mechanism for the drive, and it's designed that it will actually, it's a kind of like a weak link, intentionally designed that way, so if you smash into like a tree stump or something, it will break off fairly easily. So this is another item that you'll want to keep an extra in your kayak. These tracks are simply for the seat, so that you can adjust the seat. You've got a cup holder that drains pretty well, and then you have another hole access here. You can fit batteries and things like that in there as well. It also gives you access for rigging things internally. You've got a couple of built-in rod holders. Now that's one thing that's different on the newer model. They also have forward-facing rod holders up here. So you have a few more rod holder built-in options. Again, you have the factory rigging plates on the back. You can drill holes in this, do whatever you want to mount items. I just have a Yak Attack gear track mounted on this side and a couple of these little rigging eyes that you can just screw on. I use that to attach anchors to sometimes, but I'm probably going to get one for the other side as well. Then on the back you have your aluminum rudder and your drain plug. Only the older models have this aluminum rudder. The newer ones come with some kind of plastic composite rudder, and a lot of people complain that it has too much flex to it. And so I think Navarre Kayak Fishing actually makes a direct aluminum replacement for that. So if you've got one of the newer models and you don't like how the rudder flexes, you can look into upgrading it to one of these aluminum ones. Mine came with it because it's an older model. Now, one improvement that they made on the newer ones, you see how this cable has a little play in it? it doesn't really bother me that much, but the newer ones have a turnbuckle here so that you can adjust the play in this steering cable easily. So let's go over some of the things that are different on the newer model. The transducer scupper mounting area is slightly different on the newer model. So I'm going to show you what mine looks like underneath. So this is underneath mine, and you see it just has a small recessed area for your transducer to fit into, and it can only fit, you know, a medium to small sized transducer. The new one has a big cutout in this area with a big plastic plate here that's replaceable, that you actually screw the transducer mount to. It comes pre-threaded with brass inserts, and it makes it much easier to install large transducers. So that's one advantage of the newer one. You can put a lot bigger transducer, and you actually screw it directly into a rigging plate there. This one, you just have to put some kind of threaded rod that goes through here, attaches to your transducer in this recessed area. Then on the top you would have something to secure it, but it won't actually be secured to anything on the bottom side. Okay, so here's the other big difference between the new version and the old version. The Old Town Predators all came with this seat, and it's a nice comfortable seat, but there's one big difference between this newer seat, which this is actually an Ocean Kayak seat. Ocean Kayak and Old Town are made by the same company. The reason I have an Ocean Kayak seat is I also have an Ocean Kayak. But anyways, the new Sportsman models all come with the Ocean Kayak style seat, but with the Old Town logo on it. This exact Ocean Kayak seat, but with an Old Town logo there. Anyways, you'll notice one little difference between this one, and that's right here. You have some padding covering up this bar right here. On the Old Town, they actually have a cutout there with a strap, and the reason they did that is because this actually will hold water. Water won't trickle through this. So they put that cutout there so if a wave splashes up here, the water would rinse back out. Unfortunately, depending on the shape of your backside, this may really bother you. It happens to bother me. My tailbone pushes right against there, so I never use this seat. I always go with my Ocean Kayak seat. Now the Ocean Kayak seat is made out of a slightly different material that if water lands on it, it will actually drain right through this. It's still very paddy and cushy, but it's porous, so the water will flow right through it if a wave crashes over the top of you or if it's raining. Now the other big difference is the back of this just has a logo on it. The back of the Old Town one has this bag that you can store stuff in. It's got a Velcro flap on it, and you can store your lunch or whatever back there. I don't miss the bag that much. I much prefer the comfort of the newer style seat. And again, this is the seat that all the new Sportsman models come with. They actually made it uniform across the whole line. They all have the same exact seat now. All right, one thing I forgot to show you guys as I was working my way back is the paddle clip. So you have a couple options for your paddle. You can either put it in this clip here, and then you actually secure it with this rubber piece that snaps over the top, and it's super secure. If a wave comes and hits the paddle, it's not going to fall off when it's on here. You see some that just have a simple taco clip like this without the rubber strap, and those ones are known for it to pop out easy if a wave hits it. So sometimes I just snap it on like that if I'm doing something quick, but if I know that I'm going to be pedaling any distance in waves and stuff, then I pull this up and make sure that it's nice and secure. Now the other option is you can set the paddle right up here, like with most kayaks, and then just use the bungee, and that's another secure way. This is actually where I keep my stakeout pole though. So in a minute I'm going to show you how I like to load this on my truck and transport it, but before I do that, I'm going to show you everything that I rig on my kayak when I go out fishing. This is a Yak Attack paddle clip, which I use for my net. So I got this idea from Nick at Navarre Kayak Fishing. He sets his net right there on the front hatch and then just clips the handle into that Yak Attack roto grip, and it works great, very secure. I have my rod holder here that just attaches to the gear track. This is a Zuka tube with a it's one of the older RAM adapters. They do make this that attaches to the newer Yak Attack adapters now. And I'm looking into getting upgrade into one of those, so I have an extra option up here on the front. So this is my front camera mount. It's the Yak Attack Panfish, and it's all dirty and covered in cobwebs from that Everglades trip I did through all those mangrove tunnels. But you can see that it actually rotates right here. It's got a ball mount that is fully adjustable up here, and then it also, you can change the angle down here to raise it either higher or lower. You can actually stand this straight up if you want, or have it out on an angle like I do, so it gives me that shot looking back from the front of the kayak. But it's easy when you're seated in the kayak to simply reach forward. You actually just lift up to unlock it like that, and then you can swivel it, but it can't actually come unattached from the kayak when it's in this swivel mode, which is nice. So you can swivel it back so that you can easily access it to change batteries and things like that, change settings on the camera, and swivel it back forward, and you just push down again to lock it in. So when it's closed, you can't accidentally unlock it unless you reach your finger in there and pinch that inside trigger, and then you can do that and lift it straight off. So I like it because it's a very secure system. Even if it did fall off, it will float inside of it because this tube is filled with air. All right, then moving back with how I have it rigged, you'll see I have the seat on it now. This is the Ocean Kayak seat that I prefer, which is a duplicate of the newer seat that comes with a Sportsman again. You'll notice there's a lot of space underneath that seat, and that's where I keep a lot of my gear. So I keep this Husky tray. It's like a tray that they sell at Home Depot that's pretty watertight. It's got a rubber gasket. In fact, I'll just show you right now what I've got in here. This is where I keep all my camera equipment. So I've got this battery that you can plug stuff into to recharge. So then I got my little charger. I've got all my extra GoPro batteries, and I keep a paper towel there just to clean lenses and stuff. That's really easy to lock down, and then I just stick it right there under the seat, out of the way. I also keep this large tackle tray right under the seat, so all that's easily accessible because it's right underneath my seat. I just reach underneath and grab it, but it's completely out of the way. I don't have to twist and turn and get stuff out of the back crate very often. So speaking of the back crate, so this massive rear tank wheel is where I keep my milk crate. I just drop it right in there, but all you do is pull the bungees through these handles, and it gives you a nice secure connection. So let me show you how I do that. There we go. Clip it right together and it's not going to come off. All right, let's show you what I put in this rear crate now. I have this little waterproof case full of gulp baits and that proprietary gulp juice. Drop that right there. I throw whatever bags of soft plastics I might be using in there. I got the old go-to DOA jerk shad. Then I've got these hyper realistic gimmicky lures that I bought ages ago and have never used because nothing works as good as the old jerk shad. Some extra leader material. And this is very important, an empty sports drink bottle to use as a urinal. Right in this little side pocket is where I keep my fish grips and pliers. And then the other side pocket I keep a knife for cutting cut bait, and I might throw whatever soft plastics I'm using at the moment right there too. And finally the drive, you just drop in right here, and it just rests right there on that little rest, and it's super easy to deploy. You just pull back and drop it down. To lock it down, you just turn these two things, just twist those around to lock it down. Once you have this down, then you lock that one in place. The older drive had like a round hatch right here that was more like a typical kayak hatch, but it was flush with this surface, which allowed water to seep in there if you had water just sitting on there all day, or if it was raining. On the newer models, they upgraded it with this little rectangular hatch. It's spring loaded. You pull on this and it pops open, but you'll notice it's got the raised lip, so that's why water doesn't seep in here. It stays really dry. As you can see, I just used this yesterday, and there's like maybe a drop of water in there that's probably just condensation from humidity. Very watertight. I mean, I would keep my phone and keys and stuff like in here, no problem. I also keep extra parts in here, like extra shear pins for the propeller and that little handle that I told you about earlier. This is a good place to keep stuff like that. So there she is, fully rigged and ready to fish. So I actually built these little bunks that I keep in the back of my truck. You'll see it's just a 2x4 here, a 1x4 here, and then a 2x6 on the top. And then I've got some carpet right on top so it slides easy. But what this does, that big U shape that's in the middle of the Predator fits right down in here. And then these two bunks just rest on the two flat sides of the kayak. And so it allows it to sit there without rolling back and forth. Normally, if you just throw it back here, that center hump, it'll always want to keel one way or the other because of that center hump. So that's why I created this, so it just sits nice and level back here. And it's easy for me to strap down. It's 8 feet long, so I can push it all the way forward like that. And my tailgate will go up when I'm not using it. But then when I use it, I just grab it here, pull it back to there, and slide the kayak up on it. So all I do to load it is grab the nose right here. I just drag it up onto there. And once I have the nose up there, I just grab underneath on the handholds that I told you about. And slide it right up onto the bunks. So here you can see how the bunks just rest right on the two flat sides of the kayak. And that center hump is suspended so it's not rocking back and forth on me. I just wanted to remind you guys also that I have a giveaway video. It was several months ago that I posted it originally. I'm giving away a pair of nice aluminum fishing pliers. If you comment on that video what your favorite fish to catch is, you'll have a chance to win it. The deadline is February 24th, so there's still about a month to comment on that video and have a chance to win a pair of fishing pliers. Thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll catch you next time.